he decided not to run. It was kind of late, and we went out looking, and the guy we got is a guy with the same values we have. And I'll let him speak for himself, but he's a farmer. He's got a great background as far as business, and I'll let him talk for himself. This is Peter Oberacker, who represents the northwestern part of our county. Okay, Peter.
Thank you.
Peter, can you start with the towns that are in your district?
So the towns of Hardenburg, Olive, Rochester, and Shandaken. Those are the 4 towns that I will represent in the 51st Senate District.
Nice.
Come January. So number one, I want to thank everybody for giving me the time to address you. I too was out on a Zoom meeting trying to get as much done in a very little bit of time, so I apologize for being late. But
You missed a good meal.
being in food, our company, we're very adequately and prominently into the food business. You always save dessert for last, so I'm the dessert for tonight, gentlemen, and everybody. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. So, real quickly, I can give you a quick background of who I am and where I am. I'll keep things short. I am the son of a German sausage maker. My dad came from Frankfurt, Germany in 1953. At 8 years old, I was in the family business making German sausages and meat cutting. I had a boning knife in my hand before I had a crayon. I graduated from Delhi Ag and Tech with a degree in food sale and distribution. My current company, of which I am the CEO of, is called FormTech Solutions, Inc. We do research and development and product development for food companies. We were headquartered in College Station, Texas. Back in 2017, kind of bucking the trend that we see here in New York, we moved our corporate offices from College Station, Texas to Schenevus, New York, where I live. First business to come into that town in almost 38 years. That is such a telling story. Such a telling story. I am a former board member for the town of Maryland, former supervisor for the town of Maryland, and I'm a current Otsego County legislator overseeing 4 towns. I chair Public Works for Otsego County, as well as sitting on the Public Safety Committee as well. From a personal side, if my wife was here, I would introduce her as a lottery winner, 34 years married this past Sunday. And she was, we got together as juniors in high school. So again, a very, very fortunate and very happy woman, I must say. We do have a farm, we do have horses, and I just finished putting up a brand new barn for her, and that's my first little delve into what we call quid pro quo. So for me to run for the Senate, I had to basically build her a barn for her horses. So I'm learning this political game here pretty quick, okay? The reason I entered the race was, as Roger said, I got a call from Jim Seward. Jim informed me that he was not going to seek re-election and that he was going to retire, and felt as though that I would be the choice for him. So I carry his endorsement as well into the 51st. A couple of positions that I think are very important to you and to me. I am a volunteer firefighter and an EMS provider as well. So that is very, very important to me. We actually just cut a commercial and it explains why. Real quick, my son lives on a farm up in Otsego County. He was, I walked into our kitchen that one day, I heard the tones go out. 25-year-old male, traumatic farm injury, Apex Farms. Knowing right then and there was my son. I heard the tones go out, I heard him go out again and again. They couldn't get a driver for the ambulance. I called his cell phone, I couldn't get in touch with him. I called his friend's cell phone, I did get in touch with his friend, and I'm triaging over the cell phone what's happened to my son. He got caught in a grain auger. Every second that those tones went out, every time I heard him call again, it was like a knife through my heart. okay? Knowing in my mind that if I got in my truck and drove there, I could get there in 45 minutes, maybe faster at the rate that I was thinking. Basically triaged it over the phone, talked to the young man, we got a tourniquet onto him, and to say that at about the 5-minute mark, when it was really getting to the point where we were going to have to make a decision, they did get a driver, and he did get to the hospital, and I'm happy to say and report that he is fine. He doesn't sprint as well as he used to, but he is fine, he's alive, and we're blessed. But to me, a very important part of this in this area is the volunteer firefighters, the EMS providers, and the lack of volunteerism and the long time frames between the ability to roll our rig out due to OSHA requirements. So it's something I think that can be addressed in Albany, and I plan to kind of spearhead that because it is very personal to me. People ask me where I am on Second Amendment. I've been a concealed carry permit holder since 1986. I know that comes as a shock to you because I'm so youthful looking. I exercise that right daily. In fact, I'm exercising that right now. It is very important to me, as I'm sure it is to you, and it is one of the stalwarts of where we should stand. If that one part of our constitutional right is compromised, the rest will fall like a house of cards. The rest will fall like a house of cards. When it comes to the bail reform disaster, unbelievable. One with common sense would have to say that there would be, and I kept saying that when I was on the county legislator and sitting on the public safety committee, we were hearing that they were bringing this bail reform down, and I said, there is no way with anybody with any common sense would bring this type of legislation through, and it came through. It came through. We're being assaulted. We're being assaulted daily. If you overwhelm a system, if you overwhelm it both to a negative, it usually falls apart and crumbles. And I believe that that's the ultimate goal here with our downstate legislators. They're trying to overwhelm this system, both from the disastrous bail reform and also with the discovery issues that come with the DA, as well as just our attack on law enforcement in general. I back it 120%. Daniel, my numbers, he's an accounting student, said you can't go any more than 100%, but I'm 120, I would say that. So it kind of hurts him, so I threw that out there. I want to be your senator. I want to be your senator. I want to be your voice in Albany. I believe I can. My business background, I think, sets me up perfectly to be able to negotiate and to build those relationships that are going to be needed to change those thought processes downstate. We do a lot of business internationally, and one of the things I've learned with negotiating in the Far East is the way that they basically allow you to save face at certain times during the negotiation process. And I believe it is very important. I believe it's a way of allowing somebody to back out gracefully. And I think in some of the areas that I've been, that I have learned that unique ability to do that. I can only say thank you for the opportunity to come and talk to you. I want to say thank you for coming out and getting engaged. The only thing I ask, really the only thing I ask, is that we vote. We have got to get out and vote. We've got to get the numbers out. We've got to vote a ticket that is Republican heavy. We've got to vote for our president, and we've got to vote for our potential senator, our congressmen, and our assemblymen. We've got to vote a straight ticket. It's time to turn the table. And don't underestimate it. Don't underestimate what can be done. You know, we're always looking at something that it has to be done completely at one time. You know, when you're going to chop a tree down, it takes many chops to start. And that's what we're going to do. This is the year we start chopping. This is the year we start chopping. We need to turn that. We need to turn the Senate, which we will. We need to get common sense legislation back in place. And we need to get those of a like mind, in a like alignment, if you will, in all. Now, looking at all you intelligent individuals, I would like to include myself in that group of intelligence. So with that, again, I want to say thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to address you. And I've tried to keep this hour-long talk within 15 minutes. So, again,
Right on the money, 10 minutes even. Exactly.
good. So anyway, that I ought to at least get a round of applause, right? If you get a politician up here that's got an hour-long talk and he does it in 15 minutes, everybody ought to be like, Again, I want to thank you all. We have information. Oh, and I will say this. I just want to brag for one thing. All right. So this is our sign that I basically, being in product development and everything, we developed. Okay. And it was. I have to tell the story because the biggest argument I had with my campaign staff was over the sign. Now I don't know about you, but at the end of the election cycle, I used to take the leftover signs. And I would put my bullseyes onto it, right? Stick it in the ground, and I would use it to sight my gun in. All right? Well, guess what we did for you? This is a regulation bullseye at 100 yards to sight your gun. Now, the other thing that we have to do is, as candidates, is when we put these out at the end of the season, what do we got to do? We got to pick them up again, right? I'll bet my bottom dollar that these signs I won't have to go around and pick up. So anyway, I always bring that up because the biggest fight I had was with my campaign staff. They said, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't put it. I was like, excuse the expression, it's bullshit. We're going to do it, we did it, and it's one of our best requested signs. Guys, I want to say thank you again for giving me a chance.
Okay, so just,
Can I speak about Ola?
yeah, sure.
Our campaign manager for our congressional candidate, Kyle Vanderwater, is on her way. She had to go to an event earlier, and she's on her way down here from Saugerties. We had a primary, and I, as a county chairman, so one thing I hate is a primary, because the primary is an election between two people of the same party trying to be your candidate. Well, Ola Awami and Kyle Vanderwater ended up in a primary. Now, there are a lot of folks that supported Ola, and that was fine. As far as her ability to be a candidate and her message as a first-generation immigrant woman, cancer survivor, divorced from an abusive husband, she had a profile that was going to be a good campaign, but she lost the campaign. She has since endorsed Kyle Vanderwater. Now, there are some folks around the district that still, she's got a Facebook page called Ola for Congress, and there are some folks that have put in there showing a picture of our state chairman filing at the Board of Elections paperwork, and it says, write in Ola. And I will tell you right now that that is the most destructive thing that any person could be doing right now, is asking anyone to split the vote. In Ulster County, our population is about 198,000 people. Currently, there are 20,000 more Democrats in this county than there are Republicans. We're fighting an uphill battle. Last year, our district attorney, we lost it by 78 votes. After George Soros sent in $400,000 and put out an ugly campaign against Mike Kavanaugh, who is a man of dignity and is a great prosecutor. We lost it by 78 votes. Outside money's coming in for all of these races. And the last thing we need to do is lose one vote. Now, I've been the county chairman for the Republican Party. Now, I'm going into my 6th term. I've been there 10 years. Why I'm doing it? Sometimes I knock my head and I wonder, but in any event, in my 10 years as your county chairman, I know of 8 races that have happened here in Ulster County. One right over here in Platteville, where it came out to a tie vote. So, when I talked to a young man today, and he says, well, it doesn't matter if I vote or not. Bullshit. Every vote counts, because if it comes to a tie, there's no winner. and then it goes into an appointment process or a special election, and it's a waste of people's money. So this Ola people that are out there supporting her, asking people to write in her name, don't listen to them. Ola has endorsed Kyle Vanderwater. And given the, as our president says, the China virus, all of these guys they're all hurting for money. The chicken barbecues and the dinners and the things that we normally raise money at and ask you to come on out and support, I haven't had any of them. So these guys are looking for donations, and the campaigns are much different this year. So this type of environment we have right here is important so that we can ask you, and you know, I've done this in the past and I'll be very direct with you. If you don't get off your ass and go talk to your neighbor and talk to your kids and make goddamn sure they vote this year, we're going to lose again. 78 votes and we'd have a district attorney that was for law and order. Who the hell knows what we have now? We lost the county legislature by 35 votes up in the town of Ulster. 35 votes. And if we had those 35 votes, Ken Roth would be the majority leader of or he'd still be the chairman of the Ulster County Legislature, and he would be able to put a stop, because Ulster County is just like New York right now. You have a county executive that's a Democrat, and we've got a county legislature that's in control. They can do anything they want. So I'm preaching to the choir with you guys, but I will tell you something. This Saturday, I know I'm going to be out with Mike Martucci's bus running around Shongram, knocking on doors, passing out the palm cards and saying, would you please vote this year? And I can't tell you how many times I've heard, and I know you have heard it too. I'm going to vote for that guy because he's the only one that ever came to my door. I've heard that so many times. So I'm saying to you, get off your butts and knock on your neighbor's door and tell them the messages that these guys said today about bail reform, about taxes, about business friendliness, and about our Constitution and our rights that are being infringed on every day. And I'm just wasting time right now because Brittany's going to be here in a couple of minutes. But anybody have any questions about the Republican Party? And what
Wait, Dave, let me just put this in there, because you mentioned close races, and we did, this federation learned a lesson the first time that George Amador ran, and if you remember, he lost by, what was it,
16 votes.
16 votes. And then the SAFE Act got run through, and everybody went to the county building. We took the list of the people who were upset enough to speak out against the SAFE Act, and we ran it against the voter registration list, and there wasn't even 25% of those people registered to vote. So I took it and ran my club's list, and my club was in that district, and that club alone could have made up those votes. So we've put it out there to all the clubs, any of the clubs that want to have their list run against the election database and find out who's turning out, who's not turning out. The clubs themselves can look into that. So that's something that we've put on there. But the message is still strong. We need to actually get out the vote. There are people in our clubs who aren't getting out. And go next door and get the family. Sorry, Dave, go.
I just want to touch on one thing that Mr. Amador said. In New York State, there's 240 electric districts in New York State. Only 80 of them are above the cap and big bridge. So that's 1/3. So we have 1/3 of our voice in the state. So we got to get as many senators in there as we can. We'll probably never get the assembly. We sure can get the Senate out. It's a matter of getting out. I used to say to people, don't bitch if you don't vote. I'm at the point now where I say to people, don't bitch if you want to get involved and help our people get elected. But that's what I do.
Being in this business as long as I have, I will tell you this. In order for us to elect a Republican governor, to help us like with the tax. We need to have 30 to 31% of the vote out of New York City. That's how powerful they are. If we get 30% in New York City, the rest of the state will carry a Republican into the governor's office. So when we're looking at governor candidates, it's kind of hard to pick somebody from upstate. We really need to find a millionaire from New York City willing to stick their neck out. Or we need to have someone that's willing to go down and has roots and family and business in New York City that can woo those voters over. And I have not seen Andrew Cuomo's popularity lower than it's been right now in the city. Same thing with de Blasio. I think 2 years from now, in 22, we have an opportunity to flip our government and put a Republican governor in. Because what they're doing right now, and you know, the fact of the matter is, if we don't get the Senate back this year, I'll guarantee you 2 years from now, things are going to be so bad in New York City and in New York State, you know, we will have a Republican government. Any questions about politics, procedures, or anything that we do? Okay.
Maybe we'll just cut these guys loose and get a couple things done until Brittany gets here.
Okay.
So all the Senate candidates that are here tonight, the next time we have a meeting, we hope that you'll all be elected, and thanks for coming tonight.
Thanks.